Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is my favorite part of gardening. Saturday morning, having a cup of coffee, strolling around the garden, taking some time, slowing down, been working hard here, and seeing how things are progressing. So, have a walk with me this morning. Yesterday, I was doing a lot of sifting. I sifted about 2 cubic yards of soil, and my electric soil sifting dump cart has been working very well. As you see over here, I have excess of soil, which is the place I want to be at, having excess instead of not having enough. I came across an area that was an old driveway, so I have gravel that I can separate out of here more and wash it and rinse it and reuse it. That's a good thing. All these things cost money. Uh, the soil itself is, if I went through a place like Home Depot, they say that they can give me 5 yards for $550, which is a lot more than what I used to pay years ago. And so I asked somebody locally, and he came back with a price for me of $500 for 1 yard. So that's when I decided that I better get my button gear and build my soil sifter, because if I just add soil, I still have to deal with the weeds. So I might as well just put some effort in and consider, if a penny saved is a penny earned, then $500 saved is $500 earned. And that's not for tax purposes. Come on, people. This is our labor here to survive and eat and feed ourselves. But anyhow, garden's coming along really good. These bush bean plants are coming in really well. There's flowers on some of them up here in this area. Flowers coming onto them, if you can see right there. And there'll be beans coming on there pretty soon. The turnips, I'm going to have to weed those today, so I'm not going to escape doing any work today in the garden. But that's okay. I'm not trying to escape from work. I'm trying to make my work count. Uh, Cucumber plants, these were the ones that were planted later, so they're a little bit on the smaller side, but they're still pretty big. I really need a bigger fence for this type of cucumber. But I've been making do with what I have and trying to make do with what I have on hand first. I have a much larger area of garden that I'm going to be, maybe today, start doing some tilling, start breaking ground for that. But for next year, to plan for next year, I might plant upwards of half of it this year. But as far as serious planting, probably next year. But these cucumbers are much taller. It's only a 3 foot fence, so these cucumber plants are about 4 feet tall. These are the burpless variety, which is I think it's low acidic. I'm really not positive why they call them burpless, other than they're less likely to make people burp. They're easier on the stomach. Uh, okay, over here where I started my companion planting with my squash is starting to come in. My yellow crooknecks, it looks like I have one. I'm going to be able to eat that within a couple of days and make a meal out of that. I like slicing those up and pan frying them and adding eggs to them. So I have the squash here mixed with tomatoes. I'm going to build a trellis going up to the eaves of the house at this location, like I have already done over here on the other side, which was a later planting. And this also has squash. These are yellow zucchinis, and these are tomato plants. And it looks like there's a stink bug in there. If you find stink bugs, don't squash them because, as the name says, they stink. So anyhow, this week I built a box here, and I was able to add my pole beans, which are right here on the back side, and they'll grow up this fence here. And this is a 4 inch by 4 inch wire fence, and it goes all the way up to the eave of the house. So there's plenty of room for the pole beans to grow. There's not a lot of plants in this area, but they should produce very well. I have flowers coming on these already. I got a lot of flowers on. I'm going to have tomatoes coming out my ears. I'm going to be giving away tomatoes to people I don't even know. In here, what do I got in here? These ones are, should have it written here somewhere. Okay, eggplant in the front, which have not come up yet. And in the back there is pak choi, which is a Chinese cabbage. If you have things like chop suey at a Chinese restaurant, you've had pak choi. Right here is my broccoli. This is the first thing I'm going to be planting out in the new garden area. I got 45 cells in here, and I have about 40 of them have come up, which is pretty good. 40 is a good number. I like the number 50 better, but 40 is a good number. So this area is doing pretty well. And I got my walking path that's clear here that I built this season also. And here I have wax beans, and they're coming along pretty good. And I have another variety of cucumbers back here. These are bush cucumbers, so they're going to be shorter. They're only going to be like 3-foot vines, so the 3-foot fence will be pretty good with these. But I got almost 25 feet in this row with the combination of those wax beans and the bush cucumbers, and there should be a lot coming out of that. I planted some more seed trays this week when it was raining out, and I have lettuce here. This is Black Simpson, and it's just starting to come up already. It's only been in here a couple of days. I have spinach here. So like I said, this next area that I'm going to start opening up, I have to open up and start using some of it. Now this next row, which is just as long as this last one we looked at, these ones are snow peas. So I got to get the fence up here. My fence posts came in. So I have enough fence posts on hand so I can put fence up for my snow peas. I can put fence up for my bush cucumbers, even though they're a bush cucumber, in order to have walking space. This is my walking path right here. So I'll put a fence up along there, and I'll put a fence up along here between these snow peas, this little walking path, and my tomatoes that go along this fence line. And these tomatoes are doing pretty good. I mean, the leaves are curling a little bit from the heat, but there's a lot of flowers on there. If I don't have flowers drop off from the heat, which I don't think I'm going to because they've held on tight pretty good, there's a lot of clusters of flowers going on. So there's going to be a lot of tomatoes coming in there. And I'm primarily going to freeze things. I'm not going to do canning. At least I'm not planning on it anyhow. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up making salsa when I got a horde of tomatoes and a horde of onions coming in. But yesterday I did my sifting in this area here. I took 2 yards of soil out of here, which was a big pile, and I got my planting box built, and I planted my carrot seed tabs. If you see my video about carrot seed tabs, it's just a paper towel with a flour and water paste, carrot seeds put in a uniform grid, and then covered over with another paper towel and cut to size so the little tabs are easier to handle. Because carrots can be hard to handle, and they're good not to be crowded. And by putting them in tabs, I won't have to do any thinning. So hopefully these will come in okay. I believe they will. Plants are a lot stronger than you think. So we'll see what happens. These are my sweet potatoes. They're coming along. I have this where this planting pot is going to be below ground. This is a fabric planting pot, so the water doesn't accumulate inside it. So I got to have it so that there's drainage, and the drainage is going to come through the path, and then I'm going to raise the elevation of the soil around it, and then put one of those small kid swimming pools on top of it for a raised bed. So this is what I call the raised bed with a basement, which is going to have a 24-inch depth total. So I should be able to get a good amount of sweet potatoes going in here, because where the vines have contact, they grow more roots to grow more sweet potatoes. So it should work well as these vines go up, and I can even start tying these off today. I'll tie them off to these stakes and fill in. And I'll add some soil and organic material. I have a little pile left of soil and gravel that was here, which I'm going to use to put around that planting pot. Now over here is my winter squash that I built the planting box for. I have 10 plants in here, which 10 plants should provide a good amount of winter squash. And they're coming along. I'm going to get to start training them up the fence already. And there's actually little squash plants and flowers starting. So I'm going to head off out to my onion box, which is in a different location in the yard. Yes, it's really nice in the morning to have a cup of coffee and walk around the garden and have a still moment and observe to see how things are coming along. Here's my elephant garlic. I know I've shown these things before, but I'm going to show them again, kind of getting everything in one video. There's an update on how things are going for myself to look back on if anyone else is interested in looking at this. But the onions are taking hold, which is pretty good. I got about 150 onions in this 7-foot by 7-foot box, and that should do me for a while when they come in. Like I said, I probably want to stop making salsa at that point, but that's another new chore to do. Might be just as good to just give stuff away. Go down to the local food pantry or whatever they call it, where they offer food from people who need food. Oh, here's an example here of composting. I got my organic material in here, covered over with grass clippings during the course of the year. And as you see, I got 3 pools here, but they settled down. You know, the organic material breaks down. A big heap of grass clippings will break down to a lot smaller amount. But it adds nitrogen to the soil, so that's really good. Yeah, I'm going to have to sift that out. I don't know if I'll do that today or not. I guess if I feel like it, I will. I got several house lots here, and I like to make good use. You know, instead of just cutting grass or grass and weeds, to plant something. I'm gonna have some nice grass area, but here it is right here. I moved this old fence into the corner, and I cut down a whole bunch of trees and limbs and stuff like that, and get that stuff out here for it to be picked up by the city. And I got a fence up, and I hope I'm not losing connection. I hope I'm not losing connection. Pretty far out here, but yeah, I got all this area I can plant. all the way over to here. It's about 35 feet to here. And then going off in this direction, I got 66 feet fenced off. Got some cleaning up to do behind this old fence, and then I'm going to put up a wire fence. Get rid of this old fence, able to reuse these fence posts, because whoever it was that put this up, it's on the north side. These pickets have seen better days, but the 2x4s and the 4x4s behind them are still in pretty good shape. So yes, I open this up out to here. And then trimming my tree, pile of branches I gotta give to the city there. I got my tree trimmed off so that I can walk near it. This is called pear, and it's an ornamental tree. It doesn't have big teeth. It's not for humans. The birds like it. There's some birds up there right now. You probably heard my videos and hear the birds in the background, and they need something to eat too. Yeah, here's looking off in this distance right here. There's a good amount of area here I can play with. You know, I'm going to put a driveway coming in here too. Here's some stone. There's a little stone wall, retaining wall that's underneath the ground, which goes another 50 feet. And I think I'm going to put a driveway next to the house there. But anyhow, no, there's always something to do when a person owns a property. And I just figured I'd do a video, make an update if anybody cared to look at it. If not, it doesn't really matter. It's there for my posterity, so I can look back at it. All right, y'all have a good day, and I'll see you around.